Today I want to continue the discussion on how to defeat bitterness. I like to say it, how to diffuse it, because you'll remember the initial definition of bitterness is that smoldering resentment. And if you're dealing with bitterness, it's probably smoldering inside of you. It's probably smoldering inside of your spouse. And I want to continue the discussion. And I want to tell you that another way that you can defeat bitterness, quite frankly, is gratitude. Now, that kind of strikes a chord because when you are hurting and when you're pissed off and when you are flooding, gratitude isn't calling your name. It's more like, look at my life, look at the pain. There's pain everywhere I go. There's pain everywhere I look. Everywhere I turn, there is a smoldering heap of consequences, whether you're an unfaithful or whether you're a betrayed. So finding gratitude is hard. I will tell you, for me, because I lost so much, because there was so many consequences, somehow I transitioned into a gratitude that has stayed with me. And for me, I was thankful that my kids were healthy. And I know that that's not the case for every one of you, and I'm very sorry about that. But I know that there's still ways to be thankful. There's still things to be thankful about in your kids. Gratitude completely saved my life. In a lot of things that I do now, I am a completely different person. I am incredibly thankful from a perspective that I am thankful no longer that I haven't gotten caught for my infidelity, because early on I was thankful, but my thankfulness didn't really come from a humility. It was coming from a thankfulness that a large portion of it was, man, I'm thankful that I get to do what I do, even though I have this dark secret and this dark past and no one knows about it. Now it comes from I'm so thankful because, number one, things could be incredibly worse. And for most of you, you probably can feel that way pretty easily. Some of you, you might struggle. How could it be any worse? It can always get worse. If there's anything I have learned in my recovery, it can always be worse. And so if you want to be able to overcome bitterness, gratitude has to become a part of your life. Now, I get lots of email. I get lots of comments from people who are still stuck, and most of them admit it, some of them don't admit it, and I will tell you one of the ways that you can get free. If you're stuck, if you're just bound up, if you feel like nothing is working, get out a sheet of paper and write down the things that you're thankful for. I mean, I've done this more times than you can imagine. Itemize out what you're thankful for. Itemize out what could be going wrong but isn't if you need to. But you're going to have to be thankful, and you're going to have to find a point of thankfulness in your life. I promise you, if you don't become a thankful person, you're going to prolong and exacerbate the bitterness, the resentment, the anger, the hostility, and you're going to perpetuate a feeling of being stuck in your own recovery. Another way to diffuse bitterness, and this is the final one, it's not new information for most of you. It's forgiveness. Forgiveness is giving up all hope of having a better past. Forgiveness is choosing to live with the consequences of your spouse's behavior. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Forgiveness is the way out of bitterness. Forgiveness will cut the legs out from underneath bitterness and resentment. Forgiveness comes in like a healing salve to the smoldering resentment, diffuses it, cuts it off, and brings a sense of death to that lake of bitterness and resentment. You're going to have to get to forgiveness, whether you're unfaithful or whether you're betrayed. If you don't step into that point of forgiveness, you can never diffuse the bitterness and the resentment, and you'll remain full of bitterness. And when you're full of bitterness, It's really hard to do recovery work. It's really hard when you're so angry and you've got smoldering resentment. It's really hard to reconnect, to re-engage, to forgive, to be fully honest, to commit to recovery. Forgiveness does not mean that what they did was okay. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Forgiveness does not mean totally fine what you did, I'm going to forget about it. No, you're not going to forget about it, but you're going to release it from holding on to you the rest of your life. Forgiveness is the biggest step that you can take towards resentment. Now, some of you have said this to me, I'm too angry, Samuel, to forgive. I can't get through the anger. Okay, here's what you do. You've got to grieve. And there's some articles and newsletters and a lot of stuff on the website on how to grieve. If you want to be able to forgive, you'll absolutely have to grieve first to get to the other side of the anger and the rage. That will spill over into a point of forgiveness. Forgiveness will then undercut the bitterness and you can find new life.